we have heard a lot about this. Last year, when Prime Minister Modi was in Washington, he met President Biden, and it was the partnership was announced as a comprehensive global strategic partnership, that India is going to be America's partner globally about almost every issue. And we have seen recently that how Americans are engaging in Indo-Pacific, particularly at different platforms like Quad, I2U2, and even bilaterally. And even we have seen recently there is an India-US dialogue on Africa. So there is a lot to talk on that, that how India-US partnership is growing, despite the fact India is chanting slogans like strategic autonomy. And the Americans don't like this, where Prime Minister Modi was in Moscow. The American ambassador in India, Mr. Eric, said that there is no such thing like strategic autonomy in the times of conflict. We would like to understand and try to know this from Kamran Bukhari, but with the opening remarks from Ambassador Azaz Chaudhry on this particular subject. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Qamar, for picking up this very important subject. I am sure the world has seen how the recent upsurge in India and US strategic partnership has grown over time. But this was not always the case. For the first 50 years of India's independence as India's existence as an independent country, India was not really close to the US. In fact, it was quite clearly tilted towards the Soviet Union. And it is only recently that we saw that the Indo-US relationship has morphed into a strategic partnership of massive proportions. Now, the major dynamic, I think, driving that transformation of relationship is the geopolitics of the day, mainly the competition with China, a rising power, which was in a position to challenge hegemony. And India has been chosen by the US as its strategic partner, as its preferred partner, as a counterweight to China. So essentially, I think it's the geopolitics which have driven both countries closer. What has further helped, I think, this relationship is India's own growing economic profile, particularly since 1991. When India opened up its economy to the rest of the world. I was really struck by the fact that in 1991, India was 136th largest economy of the world. And today it is fifth largest economy and aspiring to be third largest. So you can see very clearly that India would be a natural choice for the US, being a large market, but also more importantly for its main geopolitical goals in the Asia-Pacific region. So this US tilt naturally has many security implications, not only for Pakistan, but for the whole of South Asia and Southern Asia. How would that manifest? I think we would like to learn from Mr. Bukhari, but also during our discussion, we'll see if we can discover some new aspects of the implications of this relationship for whole region in South Asia.
Yes. So, Dr. Kamran, since you are based in Washington and you do understand how things are unfolding there, particularly we would like to understand from you this how Americans are going to cope up or engage with India when it talks of strategic autonomy, and even the State Department have to give clarifications in the Congress about India's strategic autonomy. Just recently, I think Donald Lu gave that clarification. Earlier, Secretary of State Antony Blinken gave that clarification that India is our partner, and with every passing day, India is moving away from Russia. So how do you see this India's position on India talking about strategic autonomy, but getting all the incentives from Washington, D.C.? What's the pulse on that there, sir?
So thank you, Qamar, for inviting me, and it's an honor to be with Ambassador Azaz Saab. Look, there's not much the United States can do to sort of compel India. India is a power unto its own. It's as the ambassador said, the fifth largest economy and aiming and aspiring to be the third largest, overtaking both Germany and Japan at some point in the next decade, if not sooner. So the United States can't just sort of expect that the Indians will come and align with Washington on everything. So by strategic autonomy, I mean it's a fancy word, but it does have meaning. I mean, it's not one of those buzzwords. It does convey something. It depicts Indian strategic behavior, and it's no secret that the United States has essentially given a pass to India in terms of buying oil from Russia all during the war with Ukraine, and that's an understanding. That's what India needs. The United States also understands that, look, India for the longest time, and even as we speak, the estimates say that as much as 60% of India's military hardware needs are fulfilled by Russia. Now, we can talk about how that is degrading, but this is the overall reality. I mean, just in the last few days, there is a debate going on, it appears, within the ruling party in India as to, what kind of, if you will, de-escalation with China will take place. But there is this debate over should we have Chinese investments or not? We've had conflicting statements come out from the finance minister of India, who said that this is a good idea. There are certain sectors that are not sort of critical from security point of view, in which we can welcome China's investments. Only to have the trade minister come and say we're not doing that. And so it does reflect a bit of a struggle within the ruling party. But nonetheless, these are realities. Why is India even talking about, an investment relationship with China? It's because it needs it, and the Americans are aware of that. The Americans know. I mean, for the longest time, as Ambassador Saab laid out earlier, that look. India was in the Russian camp, in the Soviet camp for a long time, and that was understood. But over the last 30 years, India has developed what the Kazakhs have coined as multi-vector foreign policy, where you maintain relations with everybody. And if you look at India's behavior, it's not just the big powers, Russia, China, the United States. If you just look at the Middle East, the Indian government has had good relations with all powers that do not necessarily get along with each other. So you have a robust relationship with the state of Israel. You have a robust relationship with the Arab states, particularly in the Gulf. And you have a relationship that is significant with the Iranians. So this is sort of the MO of India, and it's not about to change. And I think the Americans, understand that. They're willing to give it time. But India is a rising geoeconomic player, and the question for American strategists is, how do you incorporate such an India into the broader, international architecture and the U.S. management system for the world? So I think that is the challenge. As to those rumblings in Congress and statements from officials in the executive branch, they're just sort of par for the course. I mean, they have to respond. A congressional official in a hearing will say, "Oh, what? So tell me what's happening with India. Why are they doing this?" So they will have to respond. So that's just managing things on the home front. But strategically, I think that there are limits to how close the Indians are going to get with the Americans, and the Americans understand that. But the bigger challenge is that as India's economy begins to grow and it takes that number 3 position or number 4 position, where does India fit in? I mean, we can go into the details, but I just wanted to lay that out up front.